Now we have to move for our second lesson, that is about biological molecule. We learned about the physical part of the cell. Now we are going to learn about the chemical part of the cell. Chemical, the chemistry of the living organisms. That is about the biological molecules. What do you mean by, molecule? What is a molecule? What is the difference between the atom and the molecule? The very first day I think I explained this. Atoms make the molecule. 2 oxygen atoms make the oxygen molecule, O2. Carbon and 1 carbon, 2 oxygen atoms make the carbon dioxide molecule. C6H12O6. That means 24 atoms, those create the glucose molecule. So likewise, then there is a difference. So then what are these biological molecules? Biological molecules are the molecules which are very helpful to develop the structure of an organism. That is why they are called biological molecules. The molecules which are helpful for biology or to create the organism. What are those molecules? There are basic biological molecules there. One is carbohydrate, other one is protein, other one is lipid, other one is nucleic acid. Those are the major biological molecules. Carbohydrate, protein, lipids, and nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. Those are the biological molecules. So each and every biological molecule are organic molecules. Because we can categorize the molecules which are for the organisms, to create the organisms, into 2 groups. One group is inorganic, other one is organic. So we need organic molecules as well as inorganic molecules. The best example for the inorganic molecule is water. Water. H2O. Water. It is inorganic. The most common inorganic molecule among the living organisms is the water, H2O. And the common organic molecules are, so this is organic and inorganic. Organic, inorganic. So inorganic, now, water, H2O. What are organic molecules? Organic are then carbohydrates, then proteins, then fats and lipids, and then nucleic acids. Nucleic acid. Those are the organic molecules which are essential to develop the structure of an organism. Now today onwards we are talking about these molecules, organic molecules. So normally each of the molecules are developed with the help of carbon atom. That is why they are called organic molecules. Carbon atom. Therefore, carbon play a major role in developing these biological molecules. We have a carbon skeleton. Totally our body structure depends on this carbon atom. So then carbon is it is very helpful element to develop other molecules. Why is that? Because carbon has very important properties on it. One thing is this carbon is a small atom and it can form 4 covalent bonds. Surrounding it, and it can connect with not only with carbon, but it can connect with other atoms also. Example, it can bond with nitrogen, it can bond with oxygen, it can bond with hydrogen, sometimes it can bond with sulfur, and sometimes with phosphorus. Likewise, so this carbon can create bonds with other atoms. There's a group, there's a big group of atoms there. So that is one property of this carbon. And also the other one is that other atoms do not have this property. So that property is not shared by other atoms, only carbon. This carbon can make long chains like this. Can oxygen make? Can nitrogen form this type of chains? No. They can form linear chains like this. And they can produce ring structures like this. Carbon can make ring structures like this. Therefore, carbon play a major role in every organism to become the pioneer of developing the organic substances. Remember it, the carbon. That is why this carbon is so important to create the living organisms in this planet Earth. So that is it. Then, now our lesson is about biological molecules. So I said that we have to learn about carbohydrate, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. First, I would like to discuss about carbohydrates and lipids. Carbohydrates and lipids. Now, these the study points are very important. Right? So one by one, try to memorize them. Try to get into your mind properly. Now, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. So, when we are discussing about the carbohydrates, so this is the most abundant organic or most abundant biological molecule in the world. Most abundant biological molecule in the world, carbohydrate. This carbohydrate, this compound, carbo, the carbonic compound, hydrate, it contains hydrogen and oxygen, the hydro part, water particles, carbohydrates. So it contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The elemental composition is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in carbohydrates. Rarely there are some carbohydrates with nitrogen. They link with other compounds, but these are the basic atoms in the carbohydrate molecules, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The other important thing is the ratio between this hydrogen and oxygen. Ratio between the hydrogen and oxygen in any carbohydrate, any of the carbohydrate is 2:1. Not 1:2, 2:1. 2 hydrogen O1. Okay, 2:1. Hydrogen to oxygen ratio. So any type of carbohydrate have this ratio. So then it is, so this point we can use to check whether it is a carbohydrate or not. Okay. But total number of atoms can be changed. Total number of atoms can be changed from carbohydrate to carbohydrate. But the ratio between the hydrogen and oxygen in that particular carbohydrate is 2:1. For best example is glucose, C6H12O6. So what is the ratio between hydrogen and oxygen then? 12:6 means 2:1. 2:1. Okay. So that is the most important character of the carbohydrate. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen ratio 2:1. So therefore, we can develop a common formula for any type of carbohydrate. We can develop a common formula for any of the carbohydrate. What is that common formula? Because we know the ratio. Now, it contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Now this is the carbohydrate. Think that we have X number of atoms in that carbohydrate. X number of atoms in that carbohydrate. See. But we know the ratio between hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1. Then, if we talk about the number of oxygen atoms as Y, then how many hydrogens? How many hydrogens then? Number of oxygen atoms Y. So what is the number of that is 2Y, because ratio is 2:1. So then we can write this equation like this: CX H within bracket H2O close bracket Y. So this is the common form, because the number of carbon atoms will be changed. It can change. Okay. So here we are developing a common formula for any type of carbohydrate. So this is the common formula. How we can develop it? Because it has the hydrogen to oxygen ratio as 2:1. Hydrogen and oxygen ratio is 2:1. Therefore, we can develop a common formula as, now if we think number of carbon atom is X, that's it. Then if we think number of oxygen atoms Y, then it has number of hydrogen atoms 2Y. Then it is like H2O within bracket Y. That is how we can write it. So CX H2O Y. This is the common formula for any of the carbohydrate. Now you know the elemental composition, you know the ratio of hydrogen between hydrogen and oxygen, and you know about the chemical formula of the carbohydrate. Understood? Right. Then we can categorize all the carbohydrates in this planet Earth into 3 groups. We can categorize into 3 groups. What are those? Monosaccharides. Monosaccharides. Saccharides means sugar. Saccharides means sugar. Monosaccharides. Other one is disaccharides. Disaccharides. Other one is polysaccharides. Monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Those are the 3 types of carbohydrates we can see in this planet Earth. Mono means one, single. Di means 2. Poly means many. Saccharides means sugars. So then let's see one by one. What are these? What are monosaccharides? What are disaccharides? What are polysaccharides? First, now you know the common form, you know the elemental composition of these 3 compounds now, and also you know the common formula. You can develop a common formula for these 3 types of molecules now. Okay. First, let's take monosaccharides. Monosaccharides. Mono means single. Single. Mono means single. That means this is the simplest carbohydrate among the group of carbohydrates. This is the simplest carbohydrate, which is made up of a single molecule. Which is made up of a single molecule. Single sugar molecules are there. That means we cannot break it into smaller particles again. Why? That is the smallest carbohydrate molecule. Monosaccharides. They are made up of single sugar molecules like this. Single sugar molecule. That is why they call monosaccharides. This is the simplest sugar. Simplest sugar among all the carbohydrates. Monosaccharides. Now these are very simple one. That means we cannot break down into smaller molecules again. Why? This is the smallest molecule. This is the smallest molecule. Therefore, we cannot break it again. Now, when we consider the monosaccharides, we can categorize these monosaccharides according to their carbon number. There are several types of monosaccharides. This is the group name. This is the name of that group. This group has several types of monosaccharides, carbohydrates. That depends on their carbon number. That means the number of carbon atoms in the molecule. This carbon number varies from 3 to 7. 3 to 7. 3 to 7. That means there are monosaccharides. There are monosaccharides. Now here carbon number. Number of carbon atoms. From 3, there are monosaccharides with 4 carbons, 5 carbons, 6 carbons and 7 carbons. Monosaccharides. There are some monosaccharides, they have 3 carbon atoms. The single molecule has 3 carbon atoms. Some have 4, some have 5, some have 6, some have 7. So therefore, we are giving names for these monosaccharides. We are giving names for these monosaccharides. The monosaccharide with 3 carbon atoms are named as triose. Triose. This is the name of that monosaccharide. Triose. Tri means 3. Therefore, it is called ose means that carbohydrate, sugar part. Triose. 4 carbon atoms. They are called tetrose. Tetrose. Carbohydrate, the monosaccharide with 5 carbon atoms. Pentose. 6 carbon atoms. Hexose. 7 carbon atoms. Heptose. Tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta. You know the count in Greeks or something, neither. Greeks or Greek language or something. Tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa. Octane, you know octane. Octane number 8 carbon atoms. The octane number of petrol. Petrol has 8 carbon atoms. That's why. Now, so these are the monosaccharide varieties. Triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose, heptose. So before talking about the examples, now the interesting thing is this number of carbon atom is equal to the number of oxygen atoms in that molecule. That is the most interesting part of this monosaccharides. Number of carbon atoms equal to the number of oxygen atoms. Monosaccharide only. Okay. Now you know elemental composition, that is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen is there. So how many carbon atoms in that molecule then? 3. Then in monosaccharides, number of carbon atoms equal to the number of oxygen atoms. Any question, Durbi? Then how many oxygens are there? 3. Then how many hydrogens? 6. What part you can't understand, Dulbin? 6. Because now you can develop the common formulas for each and every type of monosaccharides. Now, what is the common formula for tetrose then? What is the common formula for tetrose then? Yes, the ratio of carbon and oxygen in monosaccharide is 1:1. That's why we can develop here, right? That is only for monosaccharides, but every carbohydrate has 2:1 ratio for hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, right. Now, what is the common formula for tetrose then? How many carbon atoms? 4. How many hydrogens then? Oxygen? Oxygens also 4. How many hydrogens? 8. Common formula for pentose, C5, H10, O5. Am I correct? What is the common formula for hexose then? C6, H12, O6. Therefore, your friend glucose is a monosaccharide, belongs to the hexose group of that. Right? Hexose group. And heptose common formula is C7, H14, O7. Understood? Now, here we are talking about monosaccharides. I will summarize this part. We are talking about monosaccharides. Monosaccharide is the simplest sugar molecule, simplest carbohydrate, because we can't break that molecule into smaller molecules again. Then we can categorize these monosaccharides according to their carbon number. Normally, monosaccharides share this type of carbon atoms, 3 to 7. Some monosaccharide has 3 carbon atoms, some have 4, some have 5, some 6, some 7. When the monosaccharide got 3 carbon atoms, that type of monosaccharide is called triose. If it has 4 carbon atoms, it has tetrose. Its name is tetrose. 5 carbon atoms, pentose. 6 carbon atoms, hexose. 7 carbon atoms, heptose. In monosaccharides, now you know the common formula for any type of carbohydrate is CxH2OY. That is a common formula. But here in monosaccharides, this X equals Y in monosaccharides. Number of carbon atoms equal to the number of oxygen atoms. Therefore, we can take X also to here. CxH2OX. CxH2OX. This is a common formula for monosaccharides. Common formula for monosaccharide because X equals Y here. That's why. Then these are the common formulas for these type of monosaccharides. Then what are the examples? What are the examples? Triose. Triose. So then you do not need to remember every example here. Only few examples are there to remember, then I will set at that time. Right? Here, the triose. Now, triose is the simplest carbohydrate. Monosaccharides are the simplest ones. Among the monosaccharides also, triose is the simplest one. So the very simplest carbohydrate is the triose. So example is called glyceraldehyde. Glyceraldehyde is example. So you will find this phosphoglyceraldehyde, the chemical, in when you are discussing about photosynthesis in future lessons. You will find this molecule in near future. Glyceraldehyde, that's called phosphoglyceraldehyde. And tetrose, the one example is erythrose. Erythrose. Pentose example. This example is important. You should remember this. Pentose sugar. Example for pentose sugar is ribose. And there's another example that is deoxyribose. What are these? Ribose. Ribose makes RNA. Deoxyribose makes DNA. When you are talking about DNA, RNA, then you have to remember these things. I will not teach again in that lesson what are pentoses, because DNA molecule is made by deoxyribonucleotides. These deoxyribonucleotides has pentose sugars, that is deoxyribose sugar. We will talk them later. And the other one you have to remember, that is hexose. Hexose example, glucose, galactose and fructose. Glucose, galactose and fructose. These are the hexoses. You should remember these two examples, pentose and hexose. Examples for pentoses and hexoses, because they will be important in future lessons. That's why I'm asking to remember this. Because in future lessons, it is not time to discuss it again. Then you have to remember this example, not talk about the triose, tetrose and heptose. Because here I am talking about the general thing about the monosaccharides. But you should have the idea about these pentoses and hexoses. Because these are the very common examples for monosaccharides. The hexose example, glucose, galactose, fructose. You may find these three examples. And heptose example is heptulose, sedaheptulose, likewise heptulose. Normally these erythrose and heptuloses, the tetroses and heptoses are not present in natural environment. Basically, they are the intermediates of some metabolic reactions. Okay, especially these heptoses are intermediates of some metabolic reactions, because in our body cells undergo a lot of metabolic reactions. So in that case, they produce these type of chemicals, molecules like tetroses and heptoses. But others are normally present in natural environment, especially the pentose and the hexose. Pentose and the hexose. Is that clear? The story about monosaccharides. Story is not over, but this is the general thing about the monosaccharides. If you can remember, then it's okay, no problem. That will be a benefit for your future studies then. Do I need to explain this again? Everyone understood? Triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose, heptose. Okay, Matish. Example, glyceraldehyde. Glyceraldehyde, erythrose, ribose, deoxyribose, glucose, galactose, fructose, heptulose. Heptulose, common heptulose. There are several molecules regarding that. Is that clear? If you can understand this, then it is easy to remember the rest of the part of this carbohydrate lesson. Because every carbohydrate in the next we are going to study is depending on monosaccharides. Those disaccharides are also produced from monosaccharides. Polysaccharides are also produced by monosaccharides. That's why. Good. I will erase this then. Because if you know the general formula, then you can develop the formula of an each molecule. Now I have a question. What is the question? Now my question is hexose. What is the formula for hexose? C6H12O6. What are the examples? Glucose, galactose, and fructose. Examples. So when I ask, what is the formula for glucose? C6H12O6. If I ask, what is the formula for galactose? C6H12O6. When I ask, what is the formula for fructose? C6H12O6. Then what is the difference? The same formula is there. Am I correct? Is there a difference between them? Why there are three molecules then? Exactly. So why there are three molecules then? What is the difference then? Because all are sharing the same formula. Same formula. Because structurally, the arrangement of the atoms in the molecule is different. Now this is the whiteboard pen. Now I can change this whiteboard pen without changing the atomic number of this. So when I can change its structure. The properties change. Now I can write, but I didn't change any part of this molecule, this particular thing. The same formula is there, but structurally different, functionally different. Then I can write here. So I can change a structure like this. Properties change. Right? That is the difference between glucose, galactose, and fructose. Understood? That is the basic difference. Okay. Now remember, these monosaccharides, when you are talking about the monosaccharides, they are the simplest carbohydrates. Simplest carbohydrates. That means we cannot break down them into other molecules. Simplest sugars, and all the monosaccharides are dissolved in water. They are water soluble. Every monosaccharide is water soluble. And they are sweets. They are sweet in taste. Any type of monosaccharide, sweet in taste. And we can recrystallize it. So after dissolving them in water, then if after evaporate water, we can make the monosaccharide again. So those are the basic properties, and also they are, so these, every monosaccharide is reducing sugar. They are reducing sugars. Monosaccharides are reducing sugars. That means we can check these monosaccharides using Benedict test. It answers for the normal Benedict test. Reducing sugars. They are simpler sugars. They dissolve in water. We can recrystallize them. All the monosaccharides are sweet in taste. That is the story of monosaccharide. And other than that, we have to discuss the structure of glucose here. Understood? Is that clear? I will share this screen. This is your note 1 regarding carbohydrate and lipids. There's another note regarding this one. It is about proteins and nucleic acids. I will send them later. What happened here? I will come to the first part of the lesson later. Then here first I will discuss about carbohydrates. No? Then we will talk about this one. Now, here we discuss about the carbohydrates. All carbohydrates contains the elements carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The ratio is given, common formula is given, the group of carbohydrates are given. Here. And the table is given here with examples. Right, the trios, one example is that I gave you the glyceraldehyde. Here, glyceraldehyde and the dihydroxyacetone. There are other examples also. There are two types of each one, the aldose and ketoses. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You should remember the pentoses and hexoses here. Because in your syllabus we do not need to talk about this much about these aldoses and ketoses, but remember in chemistry you will learn when you are talking about the organic compounds, some molecules are grouped as aldehydes, some are grouped as ketones, aldehydes and ketones according to the groups attached to the carbon. Okay, so, because there are some, this is not relevant to this lesson. Here the carbonyl groups are there. So some carbonyl groups are attached to other alkyl groups as CH3, CH3. You will learn these things in chemistry. But some have attached to, see double O here, CH3 part is here. This one is hydrogen. Hydrogen. If the molecule is end up with this group, then it is called aldehyde. If the molecule is end up with this group, it is called ketone, likewise. So sugars also have that type of groups then. That is why they are categorized as aldoses and ketoses. Okay. Don't worry about that. This part. Now, when we are talking about the glucose, its formula is C6H12O6. So it should have 6 carbon atoms. It should have 6 carbon atoms and 12 hydrogen atoms and 6 oxygen atoms. This is how they present in the molecule. So we can show this glucose molecule as this. This is the detailed structure here. Then we can show it as here. Carbonyl group is here and the carbon chain is here. This is the linear presentation of the glucose molecule. But remember, when we put this glucose molecule into water, they form ring structures like this. Naturally, they present as a ring structure, the glucose. They produce a ring structure. So then you should have a little idea about these ring structures, because according to the formation of this ring structure means, now you know that here the oxygen atom is here given with red color, no? Here, this OH group, this one is here. Then this OH group here, then it is linked. So it is linked with this carbonyl group to create the ring structure like this here. Okay, so you do not need to remember the mechanism of those things. Then if it is difficult, forget it. But remember about this ring structure. It's like this ring structure. Now carbon, 6 carbon atoms are there. Here this is carbon, this is oxygen, this is carbon, this is carbon, 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 and this is the other carbon. This is the ring structure. And also it contains hydrogen and OH groups. So when we are in chemistry, we can label these carbon atoms. In chemistry, there is a way to label the carbon atoms as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Normally we are following that in organic chemistry. We can label. Therefore, we give number 1 for this carbon atom which is close to this oxygen. This is the first carbon atom in this group. And then this is the second one. This is the third one. This is the fourth one, fifth one, and sixth one. This labeling is important. No? So this is the first carbon atom. And these carbons are attached with hydrogen and hydroxyl group. That means OH and H groups are there. OH and H groups are there. Here, this has OH group like this. And another OH group is here. And another OH group is attached like this. Because they have different arrangements. And here another OH group like this. Okay. Here, then this one, the final hydrogen, it has OH like this. Is that clear to you? This is the first carbon atom, which is close to this oxygen. This is the way of drawing the ring structure of the glucose. So don't remember to draw this structure, but you have to be familiar with this structure. There's a reason for that. I will explain. There's a reason for that. Right. So here the first carbon atom, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth and sixth one. So this is the ring structure of the glucose molecule. When you put glucose into water, it is present as this, like this, as a ring structure. So this ring structure is there like this. This is how they create the ring structure. And there are OH groups which are lying in different positions, which are in the different positions of the carbon atom. And we can categorize these glucose molecules into two groups. One is called alpha glucose. Alpha glucose. Other one is called the beta glucose. Beta glucose. Then I will draw the structure of beta glucose. Then you should find what is the difference between those two molecules. You should find by yourself. Here carbon, oxygen, carbon, 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 carbon and carbon. Here OH group, here OH group, here OH group, OH group, OH group. This is the difference between the alpha glucose and beta glucose. So tell me, can you find what is the difference between these two molecules? Is it clear? Can you read the board properly? This is the ring structure of the glucose. Glucose can produce two types of ring structures. Glucose can make two types of ring structures. This is one structure. This structure is called alpha glucose. This is the other one. This is the other one. This is called beta glucose. I am asking, please observe these two molecules properly, clearly, and then find out what is the difference between these two molecules. This is beta. This is alpha. Yes. What is the difference? No difference. Some are saying that no difference. Yes, some can identify it. Correct. So can you see this first carbon atom? First one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you observe some deviation in this first carbon atom of these two? Yes, that is the presence of the direction of the OH group. Direction of the OH group. This OH group attached like this to this side toward to the second carbon atom. So this is arranged the upside direction. Remember? So then that is the difference. There's a particular change. Yes, same atoms are there, same amount of atoms are there, OH groups, carbon, everything is same. The difference is the arrangement of the OH group, the direction of the OH group, which is attached to the first carbon atom. Everything is same. Only difference of is this OH group. This one and this one, which is attached to the first carbon atom. Therefore, this particular arrangement of glucose is called alpha glucose. This particular arrangement is called the beta glucose. Clear? So I will show it in the diagram. Here. Now, this is the ring structure. see the numbers of carbon atoms. First carbon, second one, then third one, here first carbon atom, second carbon atom, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and the sixth one. So others are oxygen and hydrogen. One oxygen is here. This oxygen is this one. That oxygen is this one. So then in the very first carbon atom, the OH group, hydroxyl group is attached like this. Okay. So you can see it is also here. Only OH group like that. And then others are okay. Then when we think the beta glucose, this is called alpha glucose. Then when you think of that beta glucose, see the arrangement of OH group into this side. Others are same. Second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon, and sixth one. The arrangement of atoms same. The only difference is this alpha and beta glucose, the structural formula. So then you do not need to remember to draw this structure, but try to recognize, to try to then find out the alpha glucose and beta glucose if they are given in the paper. What is alpha, what is beta? Totally depends on the presence of the OH group, the direction of the OH group. That knowledge is important in the ring structure. So normally while it is forming this ring structure, that can develop like this. Here it explains as the same molecule can switch between the two forms, alpha and beta. Two forms of the same chemical are known as isomers. In chemistry, you will get this knowledge. What are isomers? And the extra variety provided by the existence of alpha and beta isomers has important biological consequences, as in the structures of starch, glycogen, and cellulose. That is why it's important. So you may have a question, why then there are two types of molecules in the same chemical? Because when they are making starch, glycogen, and cellulose, these two structures are important. You may have the idea when we are discussing about polysaccharides. Understood? That is why. Because alpha glucose, there are two types of glucose, alpha glucose, beta glucose. Likewise. This is the ring structure. Is that clear? Is that clear? Is it okay? Is that sorry. Is that clear? Okay. Do I need to explain it again? Good. Now, so you have the idea about monosaccharides now. Monosaccharides. Here, when we are talking about the monosaccharides, you know what are the basic properties. They are water soluble, they are sweet in taste, they can be crystallized, they cannot break down into smaller particles again. Likewise, there are common properties. And these monosaccharides are very important for living organisms in several ways. One thing is glucose, you know. How the glucose is important for life. You know, that is to produce energy. Energy. The most common substrate in aerobic respiration is glucose. And carbohydrates, so this type of the monosaccharides, the deoxyribose, you know, ribose and deoxyriboses. So they are there. These ribose and deoxyriboses are very helpful to create DNA and RNA. And the other hexoses like fructose, galactose, they were very much help to produce these disaccharides. And polysaccharides also produced by monosaccharides. Likewise, there are a lot of advantages in these monosaccharides. Understood? Now, it is the story of monosaccharide. Do you have any doubt on that? Monosaccharides. Make your own story regarding the monosaccharides. Everything is clear? Can I go ahead? Good. Good. Then remember this ring structure, the alpha and beta glucose structures. It is given in your note. It is better if you can draw it by yourself. Okay, it's very good if you can, but it is not essential to draw the diagram. But keep in mind about the location of this OH group in alpha and beta. Now, our next topic is disaccharides. Disaccharides. Di means two. Saccharides, sugars. Two sugars. What is it? Two sugar means what are two? Two monosaccharides. Two monosaccharide molecules. Two monosaccharides join with each other via a covalent bond and form a molecule called disaccharide. This is the disaccharide. So they make the bond. This bond is called glycosidic bond. What is that bond? Glycosidic bond. Remember that name. Two monosaccharides bond using a glycosidic bond to form a disaccharide. When they are bonding with each other, they release a water molecule. Therefore, it is called a condensation reaction because it releases water molecule. It called the condensation reaction. Understood? Then two monosaccharide molecules undergo or are subjected to a condensation reaction and form a disaccharide molecule. There they produce a glycosidic bond between two monosaccharides. Clear? Is it clear? Because disaccharides are produced by monosaccharides. Disaccharides are produced by monosaccharides. Di means two. Then two monosaccharides are involved to produce a disaccharide molecule. When these two monosaccharides bond with each other, during that bond formation, they release water molecule. I will explain how that water molecule is produced there. When they make a bond between them, they release a water molecule. That means it is a condensation reaction. It's a condensation reaction. This is one monosaccharide, this is the other monosaccharide. They bond with each other using that condensation reaction. Now this is the disaccharide molecule. This is the disaccharide. So the bond between these two monosaccharides are called the glycosidic bond. Using a condensation reaction and also using the glycosidic bonds, disaccharides are formed by monosaccharide molecules. I think it's clear. Then you know what are monosaccharides. You know what are monosaccharides now. Triose, pentose, pentose, hexose, heptose. And you know examples. Hexoses, glucose, galactose, fructose. Pentoses, ribose, deoxyriboses. You know now what are the monosaccharides. Every monosaccharide you know that. Now let's see how these non-monosaccharides involved in producing disaccharides. There are three common disaccharides among the organisms. Three common disaccharides. You know those things. One is maltose. Maltose. Other one is lactose. Other one is sucrose. Maltose, lactose and sucrose. They are the common disaccharides. Where you can find this maltose? Maltose. Where you can find the maltose? Maltose normally present in malted foods. Malted food. Malted food means what? Malted food means the malted milk, which is produced by some grains. You know, the sugar present in some grains are named as maltose. So when the seed is germinating, especially the bean seeds, when the bean seeds are germinating, that starch convert into maltose first. You know that using amylase, starch convert into maltose. Yes. And stomach not digest starch. Stomach only has pepsin, no amylase. Amylase in salivary glands. Right, maltose. And lactose. Lactose normally present in milk. 5% of lactose is there. The sugar in milk is this lactose. Yes, dairy products have this lactose. Normally, cow milk or any breast milk contains this lactose, sugar part. Sucrose. Where you have sucrose? Okay. Sucrose in cellulose. I don't know that type. New type of printed. Sucrose normally present in fruits, grapes are. And also you know that sucrose, when you heard the term, this name sucrose, you should remember some special thing. What is it? When you hear that name, you know something special. What is it? Normally, plants transport its food inside the phloem as sucrose. What is this cell wall? This is the cell wall. No, the phloem translocation is there with sucrose in the phloem sac. Can you remember? The plants normally transport sucrose in the form of sucrose. Remember. Now, therefore, sucrose is present in phloem sap, especially the sugar cane normally So what you use to make your tea, the sugar you use to make tea is the sucrose. That is sucrose. The sucrose, you can see sucrose in your kitchen. Do you know where the kitchen is? There's a special place in your house called kitchen. Your mother knows what is kitchen. So someday if you have a chance, please visit your kitchen and ask mother, ask the sugar bottle and taste it. So then it is sweet in taste. That is sucrose. Right. Maltose, lactose, because some children, they do not know what about the kitchen, no? Food is processed inside the kitchen. You know that food comes to a dining table. Those are processed in the place called kitchen. So then this is maltose, lactose and sucrose. Maltose, lactose and sucrose. So remember where you can find these things. The germinating seeds has maltose. And they are lactose present in milk, and then sucrose present in some plant saps, especially sugarcane has sucrose, and the phloem sap contains sucrose likewise. Okay, so these are disaccharides. These are disaccharides. Now they should be formed with monosaccharides, 2 sugar molecules. So what are the monosaccharides we can use to produce these 3 types of disaccharides? Okay, let's see. Now our first disaccharide is maltose. Maltose. The monosaccharide used there is glucose plus glucose. Two glucose molecules produce maltose disaccharide. The next one is lactose. That is produced by glucose plus galactose. Glucose plus galactose. The other one is sucrose. It is formed by glucose plus fructose. So what are these then? All the monosaccharides used to produce these 3 disaccharides are hexoses. Hexoses. Glucose is hexose, galactose is hexose, fructose is hexose. All are hexose. Therefore, normally hexoses are very important to produce the common disaccharides. Remember, 2 glucoses in maltose molecule. Glucose galactose present in lactose. Glucose fructose present in sucrose. This reaction is called the condensation reaction. Therefore, finally they have to produce a water molecule also. After this reaction, they make water molecule because it is a condensation reaction. It is a condensation reaction. So this is the full reaction there. Condensation. So then 2 glucose molecules make a glycosidic bond. Glucose galactose make a glycosidic bond. Glucose fructose make a glycosidic bond to form these disaccharides. While they are making that glycosidic bond, they release water molecule. Let's see how this glycosidic bond is formed there. Glycosidic bond. So now you know. Can you remember the ring structure of alpha glucose? Let's get the alpha glucose, the ring structure of the alpha glucose. Now here I am drawing the simplest structure here: oxygen, carbon, 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 and this is the glucose. Then I will draw another glucose molecule. Here oxygen, carbon, 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 and carbon. So this is the first carbon atom. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth carbon atoms. Now this first in alpha glucose, this carbon has OH group. And here is an OH group. In fourth carbon atom also it has a OH group. Fourth also has OH group. I am not drawing other OH groups, because it will make it more complex. Now this first carbon atom has a OH group. Fourth carbon atom also has a OH group. That condensation reactions happens in between these hydroxyl groups, in between these OH groups. What happened there then? Here they do this condensation reaction and remove a water molecule. Oxygen atom remains there. H2O is removed during that condensation reaction. Then what happened here? Carbon, oxygen, carbon, 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 here carbon, oxygen, carbon, now what happens here? They make that glycosidic bond. In between that first carbon atom and the fourth carbon atom via that oxygen atom. So this is the first carbon atom, this is the fourth carbon atom. So via this oxygen atom, they form the glycosidic bond, because it releases that water molecule, H2O. This is the condensation reactions happen when they make the disaccharide molecule. Therefore, this particular bond is called 1,4-glycosidic bond. 1,4-glycosidic bond. Because this glycosidic bond forms in between the first carbon atom and the fourth carbon atom. That is why it is called 1,4-glycosidic bond. There are two types of glycosidic bonds. One is called 1,4-glycosidic bond. Other one is called 1,6-glycosidic bond. We will discuss it later. When we are discussing polysaccharide, we can discuss what is 1,6. But remember, in disaccharides, you can find this 1,4-glycosidic bond. Here I have shown two alpha glucoses. Therefore, this is the maltose molecule. This is maltose molecule. Is that clear how the glycosidic bond forms? Don't remember the structures and reactions, this particular reaction, but remember about this glycosidic bond, how it forms. So here this is the condensation. Remember now, when two biological molecules react together to form a single molecule, normally they will release water molecule. This is very common thing when amino acids are getting polymerized to form protein. Likewise, this is common for any type of biological molecule because it is very common. Yes, it can, but normally that is not happen here. That bond can be created when they are forming that in cellulose and the starch are making. In that case, they can form that type. They can use that alpha and beta glucoses. In maltose, this is this. Is that clear? Let's see. Here disaccharide. So disaccharide is a sugar molecule consisting of two monosaccharides joined together by glycosidic bond. Here, let's see the formation of maltose. The formation of maltose. So this is alpha glucose. So this is another alpha glucose. You can see 4 carbon atoms. So they react in between this hydroxyl group to produce water molecule. This is called condensation reaction, and they produce the glycosidic bond like this. And this is how the alpha glucose and beta fructose. Don't worry about this beta fructoses. But remember, the glucose and fructose are involving to produce glycosidic bond like this also. Right? This is a fructose molecule. Right? When the glucoses are involving there, they produce 1,4-glycosidic and 1,6-glycosidic bonds. But when they are involving with other type of monosaccharides, the bonds are getting different, but all are glycosidic bonds. Here, can you see? Then sucrose is like this. Lactose like this, maltose like this. All are glycosidic bonds. Glycosidic bonds. Is that clear? Remember, there are common features in disaccharides also. Now you know there are 3 types of disaccharides: maltose, lactose and sucrose. All the disaccharides are water soluble like monosaccharides. They are sweet in taste. Disaccharides are sweet in taste. And we can break down these disaccharides into their monosaccharides. We can break down this glycosidic bond and we can convert that into their first monosaccharides. So we can do it like this. Normally, you know that when the disaccharide is developed, it do a condensation reaction. Glucose, it makes the maltose. Glucose, galactose forms the lactose. Glucose, fructose make the sucrose, right? On the other hand, so they can do the hydrolysis reactions. We can hydrolyze these disaccharides to form their monosaccharides. Now, when considering about maltose, we can hydrolyze using acids or using enzymes. So we can use a maltase enzyme or sometimes hydrochloric like acids to hydrolyze it. Maltose can be hydrolyzed into glucose. Glucose plus glucose. Hydrolyze means we add a water molecule for this. Then we need to add water molecule for this here to form while we are breaking the bond, glycosidic bond, to form the glucoses. And then when we talk about the lactose, we can hydrolyze it by lactase enzyme also. And we can produce glucose plus galactose. So when we consider about this sucrose, again we can produce this glucose plus fructose. So it's a reversible reaction. It's a reversible, so we can show this reaction like this. We can show this reaction like this also. Here. One reaction, the forward reaction is hydrolysis reaction, the reverse reaction is a condensation reaction. Here, this is the hydrolysis reactions. Therefore, we have to add a water molecule. Here, it is condensation. We remove the water molecule. Here, add water, remove water. Add water for this reaction, remove water from this reaction. Hydrolysis reaction, condensation reaction, reversible. Is that clear? Therefore, these disaccharides are, the story of disaccharide is like that. Is that clear? The formation of glycosidic bond, that is important. And the name of the common disaccharides and their monosaccharides, that is important here. And the examples for these disaccharides. And here, can you generate a formula for maltose? Who can generate a formula for maltose? I will give some time, 1 minute. Please write a formula for maltose. For anything, sucrose or whatever the molecule. So let's see about sucrose then. Sucrose is a very common one. It's very familiar with us, sucrose. You always eating and drinking sucrose. So try to develop a chemical formula for sucrose. Yes, Dulmi, correct. Natalia, Mevindu. Others? Susan, Daham, Shravanya. So silent and no horu tika kala no. Uttara denna. No, Dilmi. You have to think something more. Chanut, there's something wrong. Yes, Harika. Correct. Maybe Indu? No. Netra, correct. Yes. Yes, Ravina. Correct. What is the answer, Natalia? There are a lot of answers I missed, I think. Can you send it again, Natalia? No. No, maybe. The small thing is behind that. Very easy. No, Chanu. Now, when you make a sucrose molecule, what are the monosaccharides involved in there? Glucose, fructose. That is C6H12O6 is glucose and another C6H12O6 is for sucrose. Is fructose. Okay. Then when these two produce C12, H24, O12. But dear, it is a condensation reaction. What happened there? It has to remove a water molecule. 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen should remove from that. If it removes 2 hydrogens, formula is getting how many hydrogens? 22. If it releases 1 oxygen atom, how many oxygen finally it get? 11. Nothing change in carbon atom, C12. C12, H22, O11. This is the chemical formula for sucrose or the lactose or maltose, whatever. Always remember that when the condensation reaction is there, it has to remove a water molecule. Understood? That is about sucrose. Now, you can explain about monosaccharides and you can explain about disaccharides. I think it's clear to you all. And you know what is a glycosidic bond, what is the condensation reaction, and what is the hydrolysis reaction happens there. It's clear. And have you heard about the term called polymer? Yes, these common disaccharide we discussed, they are the densyl, they have the same chemical formula like hexoses. You know about the polymers. The polymers are made up of what? Polymers are made up of monomers. So polymer is a big molecule. Polymer is a big molecule which is developed by single units. Those units are called the monomers. Then these monomers connect with each other, then finally produce the long chain-like structure, then it is a polymer. Therefore, the building block of that polymer is the monomer. So those are weaker molecules. Among the carbohydrates also, we can see polymers. What are those? Polysaccharides. Now we are going to learn about the polysaccharides. So polysaccharides also developed by monosaccharides. Many monosaccharides are there to form. So all the monosaccharides are undergone the condensation reaction. So each and every monosaccharides are bond with each other by the condensation reactions. Therefore, while making a polysaccharide molecule, it releases lot of water molecules. In disaccharide, that is a single water molecule. But in the polysaccharide, it releases many water molecules. So think that this is a monosaccharide, another one, likewise, like this. These two bond via a glycosidic bond. These two again glycosidic bond. Glycosidic. And while forming this glycosidic bond, it releases water. This one releases water. This one releases water. This one releases water. So every glycosidic bond, when they are forming, they release water molecule. So when the monosaccharides, so monosaccharide is then after the building block of this polysaccharide. Polysaccharide, many sugars molecules. That is why it's called polysaccharide. Remember, if the number of monosaccharides are less than 10, they are called normally oligosaccharides. If the number of monosaccharides are less than 10 in that molecule, they are called oligosaccharide. More than 10, they are polysaccharides. Remember? Polysaccharides. Okay, so what are these polysaccharides? What are the examples of polysaccharides? There are two types of polysaccharides. One type is called storage polysaccharide. Other one is the structural polysaccharide. Storage polysaccharide and structural polysaccharide. Because some polysaccharides can store in animal tissues as well as in plant tissues. Some polysaccharides are used to make structures of plants and animal structures. That is why they categorize into two: structural polysaccharides and the storage polysaccharides. What are the examples? You know, tell me two storage polysaccharides. One polysaccharide which is used to store in organism. One is glucose. Other one is glycogen. Glucose is stored in plant cells. Very sorry. Starch. One storage polysaccharide is starch. Other storage polysaccharide is glycogen. Starch is stored in plant cells. Glycogen is stored in animal cells. Right? Yes, correct. Starch is stored in plant cells. Glycogen is stored in animal cells. So those are storage polysaccharides. And the most common structural polysaccharide, the polysaccharide which used to form our structures, is the cellulose. Cellulose. Cellulose is the structural polysaccharide. Remember, starch, glycogen, cellulose. These three types of polysaccharides are formed by glucose molecules. Some are with alpha glucoses, some are with beta glucoses plus alpha. Likewise. That is why alpha and beta glucoses are important here to form these structures. And starch, glycogen, cellulose. They are produced by glucose molecule. Monosaccharides, disaccharides dissolve in water. They sweet in taste. So we can recrystallize them. They are simple molecules. But polysaccharides, they do not dissolve in water. They are not sweet in taste. They are non-reducing agents, non-reducing. Now in disaccharides, you know that sucrose is the non-reducing sugar, maltose, lactose are reducing sugars. You have that idea in O levels also we discussed. Now, all the monosaccharides are reducing sugars. Among the disaccharides, sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. Others are reducing sugars. Starch, non-reducing. That means it's a polymer. Macromolecule. Macromolecule means their molecular weight is very high. Large molecules, macromolecules, they are polymers. So then, storage and structural like that too. When starch is produced, starch use glucose molecules. Then glucose are bonded by glycosidic bonds. And here glycogen is also polymerized by glucose molecules. The cellulose also polymerized by glucose molecules. So likewise, finally they produce very large molecules. Understood? When we consider about the starch, the structure of starch is very important. Starch. Right? What is this then? Starch. Now, it is polymerized by glucose molecule. Then, starch, when we consider the starch, it has two types of molecules. Starch, the compound starch contains two types of molecules. One is called amylose. Other one is called amylopectin. Amylose and amylopectin. So these two finally forms the starch. These two finally they make the starch. Therefore, starch contains amylose and amylopectins. Two types of molecule. The pattern of molecule is different. Then combination of amylose and amylopectin create the starch. What are these amyloses? Amylose means when the glucose molecules arrange in a linear form as linear structure, those are called amyloses. That means glucose molecules bond via 1,4 glycosidic bonds like this. Glucose, 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 glucose with glycosidic bonds. Then finally it creates the amylose molecule. So what are amylopectins? Amylopectins are branched structures like this. they produce the linear structure like this, and in sometimes they are getting branched like this. They make the branch structures like this, branches. That means amylose is like this, amylose, but amylopectins are like this, branch structures. Because two linear molecules are branched there. Two linear molecules are getting branched via another glycosidic bond. That bond is called the 1,6-glycosidic bond, because these are glucose. Those are called 1,6-glycosidic bonds. So linear structure has 1,4-glycosidic bond. Here it also has 1,4-glycosidic bonds. You know now what are 1,4-glycosidic bonds? Do I need to explain it again? And here they are getting branched. Two linear structures are getting branched. They're getting connected via a 1,6-glycosidic bond. 1,6-glycosidic bond. It happens like this. It happens like this. Now you know this is glucose. These are glucose. Now they form here glucose. Now they make 1,4-glycosidic bond like this. So this is the structure of the amylose molecule. Linear structure. Among the glucose molecules, they have 1,4-glycosidic bonds. They have 1,4-glycosidic bond. Here. This is a linear structure. 1,4-glycosidic bond is there. And here, and I will draw another one. Here. Oxygen, another structure, another linear structure. Like this. Here also it has 1,4-glycosidic bonds like this. Like this. This is another amylose. This is another amylose. These two linear structures are then going to branch using 1,6-glycosidic bond. How it happens? Now you know. This is first carbon, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth carbon. This also has the first, second, third, fourth, fifth and this is the sixth carbon. Now this has OH group. This also has OH group. Now they will link with each other like this. They will release a water molecule here. And bond via, after releasing the water molecule like this, they will bond. The sixth carbon atom, the first carbon atom will bond via another oxygen. So therefore they form another glycosidic bond like this. This is called 1,6-glycosidic bond. 1,6-glycosidic bond. So all are 1,4-glycosidic bonds in this linear structure. Here 1,4-glycosidic bonds in this linear structure. But when these two linears are connected to form a branch, they create this 1,6-glycosidic bond. The reason for this branching is the formation of 1,6-glycosidic bonds. So then this structure is called amylopectin. Amylopectin. Understood? Now you know the difference between amylose and amylopectin. Okay? Is that clear? Is that clear?